Hey, what is going on, everybody? ScottDogGaming here. Thank you very much for joining us. As you can see, we're about to start playing a new game. This game is called Democracy 4. If you're new to the channel, you won't know this, but we have played Democracy 3 and Democracy Africa before a very, very, very long time ago. We're going to give this a go. I can't really remember how to play it, but we'll give it a try. Let's go to new game. I think I've set in the settings over here when I was just checking it would work. That would have a randomized start. So we're going to go with that. Let's go to new game. We're going to choose the UK and we're going to just go straight into it. We need to choose a name for our party. Let's have the... oops. Okay. We'll have the, I can see it down here, Dominion. Okay, we need another party that we're up against. Let's go with the Justice League, obviously. And then the Radical Loyalists, why not? Compulsory voting, no. We're going to have 3 parties in this. Difficulty 100%. Economic cycle, we'll just go with what we've got, right? This is kind of the default start. I'm guessing where it says random is that some of the things that we're up against is going to be random. I don't know. This game is early access, so just bear that in mind. Welcome to your new job as Prime Minister. The lives of 63,046,000 citizens are now in your hands. As you will imagine, there are a number of situations and concerns that you will need to deal with as soon as possible. While keeping an eye on the long-term improvement of our citizens' quality of life, please do not forget that you face re-election in 5 years, so you need to monitor the opinion polls and our party membership. Good luck. So these things here are things that we need to be aware of. The GDP, health, education, poverty, crime, and unemployment all need some boosts. At the recent election, your party won with a majority of 10%. This gives you some political power to implement your policies. Okay, so I appreciate that this screen looks a little bit crazy. And it is, but once we get into it, hopefully it'll make some sense. The thing that doesn't make sense to me, and I will just highlight, I don't know a great deal about politics. Even if I did, you wouldn't want me in charge of the country. But I'll try and do my best to explain what I know, and we'll try and learn the rest together, I think it makes sense. Over here, right in the center, we've got a thing called political capital. And we can use that, you see there's 18 here, we can use that to enact policies, to cancel policies, to increase or decrease funding into policies. And we get that political capital from these guys here. This is our cabinet. And these guys are either loyal to us in green, wavering in their loyalty, or in red, they'll be not very loyal to us. And that decreases or increases our political capital depending on our relationships with them. Let's talk about this section over here on the left-hand side. In fact, let's start up here. We can see that we've got 133.55 billion coming in, but 138.88 billion going out. Therefore, we've got a deficit of 5.33 billion. Simple math, just with lots of zeros at the end. And then over here, we've got a 1.8, I'm guessing this is trillion debt, which is not ideal, but I think most countries, I'm assuming, have fairly substantial debt. This bar along the top is how long we've got until our next election. Each time we press the end turn button, a quarter of a year will go through. So each year, 4 turns, we've got 5 years to go through. Over here on the left hand side, it's a little bit difficult to show you because I don't think this highlights, but obviously if we look at capitalists, you can see that there's a light blue and a dark blue part of the background. The light blue part is how many capitalists we have that make up our voting public. So you can see that capitalists have quite a big light blue. Obviously everyone, you can see, is completely light blue. Liberals, quite a lot of those as well, and they're quite happy with this. The poor are quite happy with this. Retired aren't a huge amount, but they're quite happy. Socialists and state employees, etc. Youths don't like us at all. But obviously what we want to be doing is pleasing a lot of the ones with large groupings. The problem comes where these people will be in other groups as well. So you'll have capitalist motorists, for example, but you'll also have socialist motorists. that they can appear in multiple groups. So you'll have farmers who are parents and so on and so forth. And obviously the point of politics is you cannot keep everybody happy. But this is a good barometer of who likes us, who doesn't like us. And if we can sway some of these groups without harming these other groups, we'll have a good chance of winning the next election. Our popularity is up here. As time goes on, we'll see it peak, but the current value is 23.15 and the peak value is 25.12. I do have some things that I don't quite understand in this game, and that's around some of the graphs where things are going down or up. I'm not sure if that's good or bad, but we'll try and cover that in a second. These options we've got down here, these ones in red, are current crisis that we have to deal with, or that we can ignore, probably to our own peril. So let's have a little look here. Organised crime. Let's click on it and we can see large organised gangs of serious criminals and now targeting our country. So what this is showing us is a crisis will start once it goes above this red line. Okay, so we know that there's a crisis going on because it's above this red line. To make a crisis stop, we have to bring it below the green line. So it's easier to trigger a crisis than it is to deal with one once it's started. And then down here it shows us all the things that go into it or detract from it. So you can see gambling is having a big effect on organised crime, but intelligence services are reducing it. Narcotics are increasing it. I'll be intrigued to see if we were to become a stronger leader, if some of this would go down. But what this is doing, this organised crime, is then leading to crime and violent crime. If we go and look at crime, we can see there's lots more things that go into that. So organised crime is having a big impact. But if we could reduce some alcohol consumption or increase education or increase the use of tasers, then we're going to benefit from that. But one of the things that we know is that if we increase tasers, we're going to affect liberals. And as we can see over here at the moment, the liberals like us, and there's a lot of them. But by increasing the use of tasers, this is gonna harm our reputation with them. The other thing to highlight on this, so if I hover over crime, it will show you all of the things that are coming in and making it go down or go up. So you can see from gambling, we have a little green line. That means that gambling is adding to organised crime. Intelligence services is taking away from organised crime. We're making it better by having our intelligence services. Narcotics, I guess that's fairly level. I don't know what the green bar means. You'll also notice that the speed of the bars is different, and that means that that's the impact it's having. So our intelligence services are having an impact, but that's slower than the impact that this is having with crime and violent crime. So sorting out crime is quite important. Let's quickly whiz through the rest of these. We've got respiratory disease. Obviously things like smoking and cars, we'll deal with that. Obesity. I think every country has probably got this, and we'll have a look at that in a bit. We've got hospital overcrowding. I'm guessing if we can do something about respiratory and obesity, we might do something with crowding. And then down here we've got doctors' strikes, and maybe if we can bring down the doctors, get them back to work, then the overcrowding goes down and we can treat some of those people who are obese and have respiratory diseases. So I think this is some kind of like vicious circle that we'll need to deal with. Over here, we've got an uncompetitive economy. So our tax level, our minimum wage, our payroll taxes, we've got low productivity, are all having an impact. So if we can improve that, we've got to try and keep this high. This is a big thing. You've probably heard of it before, but GDP, gross domestic product, it's kind of a barometer of how well your economy is doing, how well your country is doing. If everything is going well, GDP will be high. It means you're selling a lot of stuff. There's a lot of goods in the market, and all round things are moving. If this starts to drop, something's amiss with the economy, production, tax, all sorts of things can make this stop working. But it's important that this stays high. And in the everyone is rated on GDP for things like their capital rating and their interest rating in terms of how much people want to loan money to them. So bearing in mind we already owe 1.8 trillion, if our credit rating drops, the interest that we pay back on any money that we loan or you know, whatever will increase. So we need to balance it quite carefully. So we can do that. We can do bits and pieces by enacting policies, and that's what these white circles are. The red around it and green around it indicates, I think, where we're sitting on the scale, and if we wanted to enact something that changes it. So let's have a look at our police force. At the moment, we are spending £2 billion on our police force. Now we could move this up and spend £3 billion on our police force. Let's just leave that there for a second. So what you can see here is, if we increase our police, we're going to have less crime. We're going to have less violent crime. We're going to impress the Conservatives, and we're going to have more state employees, which means unemployment is also going to drop. State employment income will go up, and state employment memberships will go up, and corruption will come down. So all in all, putting more money back into our police, which the government have taken away, in theory will benefit us. But that being said, it's a whole another £1 billion than what we're currently paying. And that is a problem. So I'm going to click revert changes. I'm going to close this. I think there's a bit of a bug in this early access version, that sometimes it seems to want to apply policies unless you do that revert policies. And then when you press close, it asks you whether you want to accept the changes. You say no, and it still seems to apply them. So again, it's early access. They'll get to it. So white things are policies. Up here, we also have a number of other policies that we can enact. The red ones we cannot put into place because we don't have the political capital. The blue ones we can bring in because we do have political capital. So getting some of this stuff up and bringing in new things could really help us. I mean, a good one, I guess, is a good example is legalizing drugs. If we legalize drugs, then we can tax it and make more money. But we can also bring down organized crime because it's you know, we're working on it to really make it you know, it's not a, see again, this is the thing I was talking about. If I go to cancel, revert change and close, good. Yeah, by implementing some of these things, we can make more money because we're taxing something that we're previously classing as illegal, but we're going to affect the Conservatives because they don't want drugs on the streets and so on and so forth. So, you know, it's all a bit of an odd one, and it's something that we have to be careful with. Up here we've got, let's talk about the blue balls, the blue circles. These are kind of statuses. These are the effects, I guess, of what policies have. So let's choose cars, for example. Car usage is high. We can bring it down by giving people money for cycles. We can bring it down by you know, and if we bring it down, obesity in theory will fall because we're making people travel by other means than sitting on their backside. You know, all those things. Internet speed in theory helps people work from home, which in turn means less people use cars. But people not using cars also has an impact because we sell cars. It's going to affect our GDP and all the rest of those things. So lots of things link into other things that we just need to be a bit wary of as we go. And these blue balls, as we hover over pollution control, we can see all of the things that the policy that we enact could affect. So we can see it's going to, you know, the pollution controls would please the environmentalists, would upset the capitalists. Upsetting the capitalists, they're a big bunch, but they're not voting for us as it stands. So maybe getting the capitalists on board would be good. But generally, getting the capitalists on board means upsetting the poor, upsetting the liberals, upsetting the socialists. So, you know, there's going to be toing and froing from all of that. Along the top, we have a couple of more things that we'll just talk about, and then we'll do a turn. Intelligent briefing. These are sort of radical groups. Down to here, the Rural Alliance are kind of just groups. You know, they're people who may oppose you for certain things. If you push people too far, these are the radical groups. So the Angels of Heavenly Justice, you know, the Avengers of Mother Earth, those sorts of groups will try and kill you if you push them too far. And this is showing you how much of our security is helping with you know, the deterrent of those groups. But yeah, that's where we are. Next up, we've got some icon controls. We can move these around and and move these circles around, but we'll leave them as they are for now. We've got lots of graphs that we can have a look at, you know, the disposable income groups and all sorts of stuff, the voter types and everything else. You know, one of the things we also need to bear in mind is that not every one of these people is going to vote. So we might think, oh great, the Liberals love us, but Liberals might be one of the groups most likely to not vote. So, you know, that's one of those things we need to bear in mind. Youth, for example, youth hate us, but as we've seen in the past, it might have changed now, but youths were one of the groups of people who didn't go and vote. So, you know, all of those things we need to bear in mind. Up here, we've got our finances, so we can see we're spending a lot of money on the health service and pensions, and all sorts of other things that is going to be a problem if we continue to pay out at this rate. But if we reduce state pensions, then we are really going to annoy some people. Let's have a little look here. If I was to bring this down to low, we could make a massive impact into our deficit. But you can see the socialists don't like it, the retired don't like it, the poor don't like it. The retired's income goes down. You know, we just have to be really wary about what we're doing. So we, you know, and the point of state pension is, this is what I'm saying, is it wants us to do this. If I hit cancel, good, it hasn't applied it. Okay, so we've still got our 18 points. But a couple of times when I was trying it yesterday, it was bringing down the capital and enacting policies that I didn't want to enact. We've got some achievements. We don't need to worry about those. And this is the one we are interested in. So this is our cabinet, and you can see how much points we're getting from each one of these. I think we're going to have a reshuffle of our cabinet, and we're going to get rid of these two people. We could have done it cheaper by firing them, but that means that these guys get a bit upset. So we're just going to reshuffle these two people because we're not getting as much capital as we could be. So let's do that. Let's go and have a look for a foreign policy minister. Now, loyalty is often a good way to search for these. As you can see, there's various things. They've got experience and campaigning, and then they've got these sympathies. Now, ideally, I'd want to find someone with foreign policy as a highlighted job. This lady is going to give us 1.2. Janine Harris over here. She's fairly loyal. She's got reasonable experience, and she's good at campaigning. So when we get to the run-in for the election, she's going to have a real impact on us if she's still in our council at that time. But we're going to hire her because she's going to give us 1.8, and she's got foreign policy. She's loyal to or sympathies towards the capitalists and the motorists. So if we annoy those, we're going to annoy her. Let's take her in. Welfare. Let's go and have a little look. So we've got Gertrude Watson over here, not as experienced, not as good at campaigning. State and employees are middle income, but she is going to give us a reasonable amount of political capital. So we spent 10 to do that, but in theory we're going to get more back because these guys are loyal. We've got 8 in the bank. Now we could come up here and implement some policies. One of the things I'm quite keen on, we saw that gambling is having a reasonable effect on this. We could come over here and bring in limited stakes and an age limit for gambling. And I think that's a pretty good idea. Ideally, I'd like to bring it down even more. But I think bringing down these things, we're going to reduce organised crime. We're going to reduce capitalists. So I think there's a benefit here to making people unable to gamble as much as they have been in the past. Now we're out of points. We can't do anything else. We're going to have to wait and see what happens. So we're going to come up here and press the next button. A quarter is going to go past. So the first quarter of our term has happened. And what can we see? We can see that crime has decreased because we have brought in this act. It's only slow and it's going to take time for this to reduce, but crime is going down because of all of the things that are kind of diminishing crime. And one of the things we did was directly enact a policy that we thought would bring down crime. Okay, ban animal testing. There is an urgent policy question that requires your immediate attention. A proposal to ban all animal experimentation has been placed before the government by pressure groups. We currently have quite a few people working in industries that use animal testing. but it's a highly unpopular practice. Ban it. In this day and age, there is no good reason to test any product on animals, especially cosmetics. The practices that are used are often cruel, and a ban would have widespread public support and little real impact on industry. No change. Products are only tested on animals in order to ensure there is no chance of danger to humans, and is only done as a last resort under controlled conditions. If we impose such a drastic ban, it will hit our cosmetics and pharmaceutical industries badly. Now, this is a real tough one in my eyes. I don't know what to do. I think if I was in charge of the country, I would be looking at it from a what if scenario. If we ban animal testing, is there a chance that we're going to slow progression on medicines? And that's particularly important in this day and age. If we put more restrictions in place, then we've got problems. What I would say is I think there should be a ban banning cosmetic testing on animals, but for medicines, if they're life-saving medicines, I think there should be no change. That's my personal view on it. You're going to learn a lot about me, and I apologise, but I think we're going to say ban it in this instance because we know it's going to benefit us. It's going to have an impact on the economy, but I think it's worthwhile doing. They did say it was a little impact, and we are now compassionate. We've increased unemployment again, and environmentalists have given us some love. Great news, the global economy is doing well, having a positive effect on our GDP. So we can see the global economy is this blue line. You can see that it is dropping. I think we're heading into a recession at this rate, but things are getting better. Interest rates are going up. Debt is going up. Not a lot we can do about any of that. Okay, was there anything else we needed to read over here? Polls don't look good, but you're 25% of the votes. That's fair enough. Okay, let's come and have a little look over here. We can see that organised crime has taken a massive hit because of this. If we can boost our police services or anything else up, we're gonna be in a better position. The problem being, anything we want to do in that front is going to really make us spend money, and we haven't got the money to spend. We need to, in fact, bring in some money. The problem with trying to bring in money is you generally annoy people because the only way you can do it is tax. However, there are some taxes that we could implement that are going to tackle more than one problem. A recreational drugs tax would be fine, but we need to make recreational drugs a thing before we can do that. An empty home tax. I think this is a reasonable idea. So this is that if you have 2 homes, you have to pay more money for it. Because house prices are going through the roof, and people can't, young people can't afford to buy houses because they can't get on the property market because some people own multiple houses, and there's less land, and it's harder to build houses, and people don't build houses in recession. So, I think we'll possibly think about implementing this. We can bring it in, and potentially it's going to cost us 2 million to bring in, £2 million to bring in, but we can make between 173 million and 1.21 billion, which would be huge for our deficits up here. So I think this is quite high on the list. It's going to annoy people. Socialists will like it, farmers will like it, but the capitalists, they will hate it, as will the wealthy. And if we come over here, we can see the wealthy down here. There's not many of them to worry about, but the capitalists, we know they don't like us already. So annoying capitalists while making everyone else happy may not be the worst shout. Is there anything else we can see that's going to help us over here? If we brought in a health food subsidies, which I'd like to do, it's going to cost us more money. Frequent flyer tax doesn't, it's going to bring in quite a lot of money, and I think that's a reasonable shout, but it does have a direct impact on GDP because people aren't able to travel around the country and make money. So yeah, we'll have a think about that. Is there one for air travel? So airline tax is down here. we could increase tax, right, for airlines. So at the moment, we're making 927 million. If we to boost this up, we'd make 2.14 billion. But as you can see, air travel will go down, tourism will definitely go down, and the GDP will drop. So applying to air travel tax is going to impact people coming into our country, whereas applying the frequent flyer tax doesn't have an impact on tourism. And that might be why it's a better thing. But I think we're going to do this because I think if we bring this in, the youth are going to be a bit happier. We'll keep the socialists happy. I feel like this is a reasonable one to bring in. So let's do it. And I think we're going to bring in with a high tax level. We're going to try and make $1 billion out of bringing this in. It's going to cost us some, but we should see this deficit decrease slightly and will annoy some people. Okay, so it cost us some points. We got 3 points remaining. Is there anything that we want to spend money on? Speeding cameras, we can't do anything over there. Definitely not going to be able to do anything over there. How about community policing? We could increase this to the maximum level and bring in, yes, it's going to cost us some money, but we're going to bring in more police officers, which is also going to have an impact on crime and racial tension. So I feel like that's not a bad shout. We'll do that at the same time. We've still got our 3 points to spend. Don't know. So now you can see most of these are red because we can't really do anything down here to implement anything. Graduate tax is dedicated tax levy purely on people graduating from university as a way of them contributing to the cost of their university tuition. Supporters say this is fair because not everyone benefits from a university education. Opponents argue that this creates a disincentive, that's the word, to study purely academic subjects in the arts, as well as penalising ambition. It's a tough one. I will say that the money that people are having to spend to go to university is insane. But as you can see, it's making a lot of money. I think we're gonna save these points. You can carry some of these points over to the next turn, and I think that's what we're going to do. Okay. So GDP has decreased. Unemployment has increased. Now I assume that means unemployment has gone up. There are now more people unemployed than there were before, right? Or does that mean unemployment has gone down because we've hired more people into the police force? I don't know. Crime going down is fairly straightforward, but unemployment, if you took it at the same level as crime going down is a good thing. I would take it that unemployment going down is a good thing. Therefore, I would assume that means unemployment has gone up. But maybe it means unemployment has gone down. I think it might mean unemployment is dropping. I'm not sure. Okay. Either way, let's keep going. Where's crime? Crime is going down again. We'll see how that is really impacting our little chart. We've got some things to look at. We can see that the global economy is doing okay, but we can see the global economy is clearly heading for a recession. We're going to be in trouble unless we can bring this down. If we can bring this down, we'll be better off, but it's going up. Can we see where this is? State pensions. We're currently spending 30 billion. If we only spent 25 billion, we'd wipe out some of this deficit. People would be relatively okay with it, right? It's a lot. It's a lot though, innit? It's a lot of points as well. Okay, but state pensions might not be a bad one to get our deficit sorted, and then we can maybe implement some better policies that are going to help us. It's going to really upset the oldies and they vote for us, but there isn't a huge amount of oldies. But what you can see over here is by bringing in the second home tax, that has improved. The youth are slightly more on side. We're up to almost 50% of people wanting to vote for us. We're probably likely to immediately lose some of that by implementing this state pension, but what can you do? Okay, organised crime. Let's have a little look. Organised crime here has dropped, but it's now kind of plateaued over here. So We could boost our intelligence services, which in turn would also help our intelligence briefing and rating over here. So it might not be the worst shout, but I think we're going to have to take money from the old. Now, I know you did a lot for us, but I think we're going to have to reduce this by about 10%. So what have we got here? If I revert these changes, did I implement this? This is the thing I don't understand. Did I just implement this? So we are... Let me just revert this and leave. Did that? So it definitely didn't implement, but there was something weird about it going back to here. So we are spending 30 billion. If we can bring this down to, 20 billion would be good, right? It's going to really annoy the retired and the socialists, but it's going to make more people poor as well. But I think we're going to do it. Sorry, everybody. That's a massive change that people are going to hate. But I think it's probably fair to help with some of that. I think we could also bring in rent controls, putting in something in place to say you cannot charge over the through the roof for renting properties. But I think we're also going to bring in some health food subsidies. I think. Over here, 115 million sounds like a plan. We've still got 12 points left. Has obesity started to drop? No, it hasn't. Perhaps we could bring in something like bike subsidies. I think that might be a reasonable one. Again, it's going to cost a lot of money, but in theory, we're saving some money from the taking it from the old people who are now going to starve and die because they haven't got any heating in their houses. But let's do it. So we've got that in as well. We've got 10 points left. Selective schooling. Don't know how I feel about that. Well, I do know how I feel about that, but I don't know if I want to bring this in. We could think about making cars more efficient. It's going to increase car usage, which will have an impact on people's health. But it is going to reduce CO2 emissions. And oil demand. I think we're going to do that as well. Okay, 4 points left. We've got a question over here. A proposal is being put forward to construct a major toxic waste dump in our country. This facility will be large, potentially creating many jobs in its construction, but there are real concerns about the effect on the environment. Nobody wants toxic waste in their back garden, but we'd be fools to turn our backs on the economic gains from setting up this facility, not to mention the potential jobs. Besides, we can place the dump in the countryside where jobs are needed and risks are low. Prevent construction. The thing is, I don't think it's right that we send it to other countries, right? We need the jobs. The environmentalists hate it. GDP goes up, unemployment goes down. But, I don't know what we do from there. Is this unemployment? So unemployment has gone up. And again, I don't know at the moment. It'd be nice to see toxic waste dump is over here. I guess if we see it go up again, we think it's for the better, right? Okay, let's keep going. Let's return to this. So poverty has gone up, and we're not surprised by that because we just took away state pensions to a point. Our credit rating has been downgraded, but also a disputed territory has been repatriated. So somewhere we've managed to reclaim the islands of somewhere. And why the government does this? Living hell, the government has no right to die policy. I don't necessarily disagree with that. Has anything else happened over here? GDP seems to have leveled out. I'm guessing because we built that thing, the toxic waste dump. Over here, the unemployment, it went up and now it came down. I don't know the impact that these have had to know whether it's going up or going down, and I don't know how I see it with any kind of numbers. That's what I'd like to see. I would like to see that there is currently 27 million people unemployed, and last quarter there was 25 million people unemployed. Just some numbers on this graph would be really useful, even if they were, they didn't actually mean anything. If 0 was at the bottom and 1 was at the top, at least I'd know. I'm sure I'm just being an idiot, but never mind. Members of the Defenders of the Flag are criticising the government policies in their leaflet. Man, why would you do that? Okay.